to give you an overview, I mean, from the state treasurer's perspective, the state treasurer is the state's banker and chief investment officer. So what I get to do is see the cash flows of the state and how we're doing in terms of really matching our spending along with what we're bringing in terms of tax revenue. So the trend line is positive. We're bringing in more money year over year, which is a sign that the economy is growing to a certain degree. There have been certain things over the course of the 8 months I've been in office that have been curveballs, and what's going on in the marketplace right now certainly is. I mean, the markets are incredibly volatile. S&P has downgraded U.S. government debt from AAA to AA plus. And you know, that's something that's very discouraging, certainly something that's avoidable, something that I would like to see the United States Congress learn something from Arizona's legislature. I mean, the folks at the state capitol, regardless of what you think of budget priorities, have balanced that budget. There are no tricks, there are no gimmicks, there are no rollovers, and there's no borrowing. So they really did make some difficult decisions, and the market really is responding right now to what's political gridlock in Washington. And so we'll expect them to make some decisions that will allow the economy to grow and reduce the debt.
I'm Steve Pearce, who of course is our senator from CD1 in this area. He just wrote an article in Arizona Capital Times about how just because the trend is up, that doesn't mean we should go out spending any extra money, that we've got debt to pay. How do you feel about that?
Well, I do think we need to learn from the past here. I mean, we need to look at where we are, and we do have a trend line that's up, and that's positive, and that's a way to see that there's a blue sky and there's light at the end of the tunnel. But this is the first time we've balanced our budget in the last 3 years. This is the first balanced budget since 2007. So in a sense, our house has been on fire for 3 years. We've just put it out. Now, do we want to rebuild that house with the same spending and the same programs, or do we want to take this as an opportunity to really reform government, to really look at what we're doing in K-12 education, to look at our relationship with the university system and what we're doing with Medicaid statewide? I think that's what we need to do, is take a look at that, and from a sense of being fiscally responsible and conservative, we should think about a rainy day fund, and we should think about paying down some debt first, and then we can together navigate out of this.
And I believe it's 2014 that extra 1-cent sales tax goes away, and so that'll mean less revenue for the state. Is the state going to be able to weather that?
Well, that's why people are elected. I mean, to govern is to make decisions. The legislature made difficult decisions in the last year, and they're going to have to make difficult, productive decisions going forward. Now, I also want to say, I don't want to think of this as a zero-sum game. This pie can get larger. There's really no substitute to increase the state budget than to have a growing economy. With a growing economy, you have more transactions, and that means more sales tax revenue. When you have a growing economy, you have people making more money, and then they're paying more state income tax. It's 2011 right now. That sales tax increase falls off at the end of 2013. So there's time to plan for that and to make those decisions, and that's what's going to happen.
What are some things citizens in Arizona can be and should be looking for?
Well, you know, from our perspective in the state treasurer's office, we think it's important that we are the trusted communicator for clear and accurate information. So if you go to the state treasurer's website, aztreasurer.gov, you'll be able to see the state's operating balance every day so that people know how much money we have in the bank. Then the next question, of course, is where do people spend the money? Where does government spend the money? So you should be 1 or 2 clicks away from finding that. And then beyond government being fiscally responsible, we know that citizens want to be fiscally responsible, but not everybody grew up or was educated in the financial sector or industry. So we try to have tools there that allow people to become financially literate, that help them with their children become financially literate, learn how to manage a checkbook, understand cash flows, financial terminology, those types of things. And I think as we go forward, what will be different is that people will be savers before they're spenders. And if they do that over the course of time, it'll be a positive for them and everyone involved.
So you've been in office about, 8-9 months now. Correct?
8 months.
And are you enjoying it? And what's been your biggest surprise?
I am enjoying it. I am enjoying it. I think that there's a real opportunity for improvement in state government. I've enjoyed working with the governor and the legislature and the other elected leaders to really make good, positive, productive, forward-looking decisions. And I think my biggest surprise is really what Arizona has done and in the amount of time we've done it, meaning that we've balanced this budget, but getting to know other state treasurers from other states and seeing what their states aren't doing, that they aren't balancing their budget, that they aren't managing their debt, and they're actually spreading the gap even wider. They remind me of a lot of the elected leaders in Washington. So that's a big surprise, because I see that it does matter who you elect. Elected leaders can make decisions, and if you've got people that will have some courage and some leadership and want to do the right thing for the long term, you can really make a difference.
Your outlook now is an optimistic, pessimistic, in between. What you think?
Well, I think we have a road to hoe here in terms of getting out of this, but long term I am optimistic. I think we have the largest economy in the world. We have the state that's most attractive and more people want to move to than any other state, but there's an incredible amount of regulation and tax burden coming from Washington, D.C., and it's thrown a wet blanket on this economy. And there's really no substitute for a state economy to grow than to have a growing national economy. So once that happens, I think it's going to be good times in Arizona again, but we have to get from here to there.
Anything you want to add?
Well, I just want to say thanks for having me, Lynn, and I always love coming to visit here in Yavapai County.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.